Let's move to one that's a little bit more serious and a little bit more imminent, and that's what's going on in St. Louis, Missouri, where a federal judge has essentially demanded changes to the criminal justice system there that can leave people stuck in jail for weeks when they don't have money for bail. And the contention for those who are being held for weeks on end because they don't get a public defender right away, so they languish there before they can get some legal counsel, is that most of them aren't a harm to their communities or a flight risk or anything like that. So on the one hand, you want to be tough on law and order, and you want there to be repercussions for crime. On the other hand, of course, you want criminals to have the rights that the Constitution guarantees them. So what do you make of this one?
I thought it was fascinating, Greg, that St. Louis did not take into account people's ability to pay when they set bail. The entire reason for bail is to guarantee that the person will show up to have their charges heard in a proper, in court. You've been charged with a crime. You have to come back and face those charges. Well, in order to secure your presence at the later hearing, the court takes bail. Well, all that matters is the ability to pay. A $1,000 bail set for somebody who's worth $1 million is not a sufficient enough hook to get them to come back. And a $1,000 bail for somebody who makes $15,000 a year is too much money, for relatively minor charges. So it was that I think Judge Audrey Fleissig of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Missouri really drove her to the point where saying these accused federal civil rights were not being respected by the court in St. Louis because it just simply ran roughshod over those rights and locked up all these poor people regardless.
Is this an issue in many cities and other locations around the country, or is St. Louis unique in some way?
I think that the issue of excessive bail is present in so many cities. We often see this, Greg, in Democrat stronghold big cities in America. That's where so many of the push comes. But I haven't seen where they literally don't take into account at all somebody's ability to pay. So I think that's probably why St. Louis was ordered to change their ways here. I think it's important to remember when these people who can't pay their bail, they will lose their jobs, they'll lose apartments, all the commitments they have in life that they're meeting, oftentimes will go by the wayside. So it's a profound experience for so many of the people who are actually caught up in it and their families. So not to be taken lightly.